Hello and welcome to Movie Mandates. I'm Kelly,
And I'm Andrew.
and this is the show where my brother and I force each other to watch a movie based on a specific monthly theme. And it's what month comes after July because apparently I changed everything with that. August. It's August. And we watched title song movies. Last time we spoke about Brother's Choice or Moon Zero 2, which decidedly has a more catchy theme song than my choice of The Crying Game. However, mine was more used with it. Well, maybe not. They were both used pretty
We'll
heavily.
we'll we'll, we'll talk
We
about
could
the
we could
implementation of
we
the
can get
music
to theme
last.
songs because before all that, since I got to pick this month's movie, it is only fair that brother challenge me in a little segment we call Trivial Trivia.
Okay, so this trivial trivia requires a little bit of setting up the premise of the crying game to make the trivia question
Okay.
make sense. So,
Sure.
the crying game is broadly a relationship drama about a guy who is a terrorist.
Yes.
So, name five movies where it's easy to forget that the protagonist or protagonists is or are actually bad.
Bad guys. Yeah, no, that's a very true because my very favorite movie, well, not my very favorite movie because, doesn't have Elijah Wood in it. Um, Clockwork Orange. By the end, you truly feel for Alex and you truly want them to stop torturing him. The problem is he is the bad guy here.
Yeah, and he reforms. He's more forced to reform than he really like had some kind of self-revelation. It's like, what am I doing?
Right.
Right?
So that yeah. Yeah, no, and he reverts. Like it didn't work. Like that's the whole theme is that you cannot change. It's in
Yeah,
his nature.
and it's right when he runs into his droogs or something later, and they kicked the ever loving crap out of him. You're like, "Oh, no," and you're like,
Oh no,
wait a minute,
he
this guy's a piece
yeah.
of
No,
shit.
it's terrible. It's terrible. It's very hard. That's I'm stalling
Because you're thinking,
because I'm thinking because that one comes to mind because it's
hmm,
something that I speak about constantly
yeah.
about how that's yes. Um there is who else are villains. So, I mean, okay, repeat your question. Villains that are people that are villains, but you kind of get on their
Movies
side.
where it's easy to forget that the protagonist or protagonists are actually bad guys.
Yeah. Well, Mouse Hunt, those are thieves.
Oh,
Are they not?
for some reason I was thinking of who is it? It's John Goodman who
Nathan
comes in
Lane.
as it's Nathan Lane and
Oh God, what is that little guy's name? He's
but it's John Goodman who plays the exterminator who comes in, isn't it?
oh, is it?
Because that's
Oh,
I'm like he's just an exterminator, but no, you're right. The guys from Mouse Hunt
the
are
the whole idea is
yeah.
that they're burglaring. Burglaring? I don't know. They're burgling. They're doing something naughty.
Do something naughty, yeah.
I'm like, the house is empty though. Like, what was the premise? I can't remember. So then, um, let's see.
I could probably make an argument that the mouse is actually the protagonist of the film, but I'll take that one.
Yes, but yes, human leads, perhaps.
I mean, it would kind of like be, it, Mouse Hunt works a lot more than something like the Casper movie would, because
Sure.
same kind of idea. The bad guys are trying to get the house and drive, but they are actually the bad guys. They're not the protagonists of the film.
Correct.
Uh,
I just had one. Crap on toast. What was I going to say? We were talking about Mouse Hunt, and then we were talking about Oh no, it was there. I should have just blurted it out. This is what happens when you get old. Like things just start falling the minute they're in your brain cells. Um, I had it, and it was a good one that maybe you wouldn't even agree with, but that's okay because I was going to make it anyways. All right, so someone who ostensibly is not a good person. I mean, there's Road to Perdition. He's a hitman.
Hitman, sure.
So there's that.
Oddly
Um,
enough, I actually read that comic book before the film came out.
did
I
you really?
rarely does that ever happen. Usually I find out about the source material when the film comes out. That was one of the few cases I was like, I that's a comic. I read that.
That's awesome. Um, okay,
Like
so that's
History of Violence, I had no idea that was a comic.
wait, really? I don't think I realized it was either.
I'll double check on that. I make sure I'm right, but
Okay, interesting. Um, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb with this one.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I'm correct. Okay.
good for you. I like, yay, you
Hooray
know
for being
comics.
correct.
Yay, correct. Okay, so the Nicole Kidman movie, The Others. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it.
Do
I know
you
the
know
I know the
the
twist, yes.
Okay, so you
Also, it's 20
could,
years old, so
there's that. Okay, that's fine. But you could, it's about her children being terrorized, but actually she's terrorizing the living family in the house. So kind of, I know it's a
yeah.
thinker. It's a thinker.
It's, I
It's a
although you
thinker.
don't really know that until the end. So
Right.
so it's one of those
Okay,
it's not
okay.
easy
So
to
you,
forget
it's
because you
not that
don't
you forget because
know.
you didn't know. Okay, so Dog Day Afternoon would fit.
Yeah, bank robber. Yeah.
Okay. And then so the one that I thought of earlier still hasn't come back to my head. And I really feel like I've seen it recently too. Because I mean, I watched Saltburn recently, but that protagonist is
Not easy to
actively
forget.
not even close to being like a hero that you're like, that's I hope things don't work out for you. Oh, they did. Well, good for you, I guess. Uh, have I said any of the ones that you had originally thought of, like when you orchestrated this question?
No,
Really?
no.
Interesting. All right. Uh, because I'm thinking of other heist. I mean, I guess you could go with a whole bunch of heist movies, really, like Quick
Sure.
Change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that was actually one I thought of
Ah, nice. I like that one. I'm really upset.
because
Oh,
particular. Go
oh,
ahead
that's
before you
another.
forget it.
Nope, this one doesn't work either. Inside Man with Clive Owen.
I
No,
haven't
you
seen
you
it.
do. You
I,
do know
I would.
he's the bank robber.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but it's probably the kind of movie. Basically, any movie with one that I thought of was From Dusk Till Dawn, right?
Oh,
The
sure.
Gecko brother. It's really easy to forget that George Clooney and well, his brother dies halfway through the movie, but it's easy to forget that this is a violent bank robber.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is true.
And
That is
he
true.
actually chastises Juliette Lewis at the very end of the movie. He's like, "Do you know where I'm going? Do you know who I am? Go home. I'm not a good person."
Yeah. Interesting. What were your other ones that you were thinking of? And in the middle of our
Uh,
conversation later, I'm going to shout out the one that.
Basically, any of the Ocean's movies,
Oh, golly, that's true.
bank
They're
robbers or heists.
in, yeah, yeah. The Italian
Uh,
job, I guess you could say.
a lot of times, crime spree movies, certainly not like Natural Born
I was
Killers,
going to
but
say that one.
sometimes like things like Bonnie and Clyde. Uh, it they're just any because they're just
Yeah.
having so much fun. It's like, oh wait, I'm actually bad guys. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Like you're kind of with them, but I mean, like Thelma and Louise killed a dude and then went on the run from the cops.
that was like an accident though. What wasn't
It,
he like?
he was coming on to Gina Davis.
Uh,
Yeah. And they shot him because he was a pig. So
wasn't a self-defense thing. It was a.
I'm
I haven't seen the movie in 30 years. I don't remember.
it wasn't,
I still want
but
to.
it wasn't
I still
not.
want Thelma and Louise too, where they survive the landing. They just bounce.
They
It's
just
like,
shake it
oh,
off. They're like,
good shocks, and then they just keep driving.
no, I want to see it where they're going down the street and like the oil can is like, hey, the
The muffler's
emissions is
like
like hanging
dragging and
behind him. It's like,
sparking and shit.
and
Probably get
then
that looked at.
and they pull up to a gas station. They're like, you girls look like hell. And they're like, been there or whatever. I'm not a writer.
Like, right, what'd you do? Drive this car off a cliff?
About that.
Yeah.
About that. So, yeah, so now that you've seen The Crying Game,
Hmm.
had you seen it before? Because I remember you not positive if you had
No,
or
I
not.
was familiar with the song. Um,
Okay.
and I was wondering if I was familiar with the song because I'd seen the movie, but no, I'd never seen the movie. I'd heard the song though.
So it's very funny because I actually
Although
I,
The Boy
the
George
Boy
version
George
is the
version,
only version of the song I was familiar with.
because I looked it up. I was like, is this did he create the song? Did he create it for the movie?
No,
No,
it's
it's a cover.
the cover of a song from the 60s,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
So,
which plays over which we were talking about this before we started recording, but there's actually three versions of this. What's interesting about Moon Zero Two is you have the that that big bombastic anthem that the film starts with,
oh yeah.
and then they use variations of that melody throughout the film score.
Right, right.
With the Crying Game, they use three completely different
Yes.
versions of the song throughout the movie
Yeah.
to various effect. You have the original version from the 60s. You have the one that's sung by Dill in the bar, and then you have the Boy George version, which
Right.
has the very recognizable instrumentation that bow, 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 bow.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that real hard stinging synth to it.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
no, and it's funny enough, this is going to take us way off base, but I'll bring it back real quick. So after we chatted last time about your movie, uh immediately we wanted to watch a movie and we thought, "Oh, let's watch The Dead Don't Die." Have you seen it?
I know I've heard the name.
It's a Jim Jarmusch movie and it has Adam Driver and Bill Murray and Chloe
Oh,
Sevigny.
no. Okay, now I remember which movie that is. No, I have not seen it.
Okay, so I only made it halfway because we decided to start it after we had recorded, which
Mm,
is late
like, yeah.
for me because I'm a pumpkin, and not just because of my orange dress. Um, it has some of the best. It would have worked for title song month. It's fantastic, and it's like I only saw the first half, and I'd like to see the rest. However, Jeremy's like, not much more happens. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But I like Jim Jarmusch. I've seen his movies, so let's go back to. But anyways, it was very funny because it was like so very. It took me out for a moment. I'm like, oh my god, this could be a theme song movie.
Hmm.
um,
Interesting double feature this month with Moon Zero Two and The Crying Game.
Crying Game in and of itself. So I've been asked by a few, well, by Jeremy and then by Fushi and who know that I was watching
Who'd you
this
watch Crying Game with?
myself. I
Okay.
invited others. They said
They said
no.
no. Moon Zero Two, fine. Crying Game, no. It's like I didn't invite you over to watch Requiem for a Dream or anything. Come on.
I know. But I will
Or
say so
Sallow.
geez. So watching the Crying Game again,
You'd
uh,
seen this before.
I had seen it, yes. And I remember enjoying it. And I actually remembered a lot about it, funny enough. However, what I very akin to your trivial trivia question, what I had forgotten was the circumstance. I had truly forgotten the whole Forrest Whitaker part. And I was like,
The first third of the movie, yeah.
yes, very Full Metal Jacket moment. And I was like, Oh crap. This is a whole, as in like the first half of the movie
I
is
get what
not
you're
this.
saying. Yeah,
Okay. Um uh
that's another Kubrick, isn't it?
yes it
Oh,
is.
okay.
Yes it is. It's very good. Um so yeah, and I remember when it started, I was watching it, I'm like, that's it's I like this movie. I liked it then, I like it now. I don't think it has any business being as good as it is. Because in just that's it's it's a very slice of life. It's slow, it's a deliberate, it just follows our Irish mafia guy or the Irish Republic or whatever the
The IRA,
my history is not that great,
Irish
sorry, over
Republican
there.
Army, something like
Yes,
that.
yes, 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 yes. It is the IRA. And they like it starts off and he kidnaps Forrest Whitaker and they have this burlap bag over his head and he's like sweat. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, he's gonna die just under that bag, dude. Like he's not coming back from this, but he does. And uh, and he kind of Fergus, our leading man, Stephen Ray, who I'll tell you a story about him later. Stephen Ray is just one of the revolutionaries in the IRA and kind of sort of over these 3 days semi befriends kind of Forrest Whitaker. They become at least, friendly. But then
They
he has to
develop a rapport. Yeah.
they develop a rapport and within
So,
that
for those
rapport,
who are wondering, the reason
oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
IRA guys kidnap Forrest Whitaker, he's a British soldier dude.
Right.
They kidnap him to hold him ransom to release, I think, one of their dudes from prison.
Yes, they want to
Some political prisoner. They're
there's
like,
a tit for tat that they're
yeah,
trying
right.
to
Release this
create.
person from prison or we'll shoot him in the face. They don't release him from prison. So after 3 days, then Stephen Ray has to.
Stephen
Oh,
Ray has to kill him.
right.
And before he kills him though, they have a bonding moment over um Forrest Whitaker, who plays Jody, right? That's his name, Jody. And
Jody, yeah.
his uh special friend, who he calls her Dill, who he loves Dill, and he shows a picture to Stephen Ray and he says, "That's my kind of girl." And Stephen Ray, who is Fergus, I'm sorry, says, "That'd be anyone's kind of girl." And I'm like, I've seen that pic. Yeah, that works for me. Um, and so he's like, you got to find her and tell her that I was thinking of her when I died. And then, yes, Forrest Whitaker dies. However, in the most horrible way possible. Like,
Yeah.
oh my, I know that he had to die because we have to get him out of the way. And
Yes.
and I know that we don't technically want Fergus to have killed him because even though Fergus is a bad guy, he's like a reluctant bad guy, kind of a bad guy.
Well, because the entire theme of the movie is the whole
It's in your
what
nature.
you yes, the scorpion and the frog thing, the what you want and need and how that contrasts and sometimes conflicts with what is your nature. And I don't think Stephen Ray's nature was to kill Jody.
No, but for the story, he had to die. And it's
Yes.
just so heartbreaking because he gets loose and he's running away from Stephen Ray. And as the audience member watching it, you're like, he's not gonna shoot him. He can't possibly shoot him. He's not gonna shoot him. Like it's just not gonna happen. And then he runs and get hit by a tank. And you're
An
like,
APC, I think, but yeah.
and it just is very abrupt. Although any car hits are abrupt because you can't see them coming, or else you wouldn't have
Well,
been hit by
yeah,
the car.
I mean, if you get hit by a car slowly, you'll probably end up being okay.
They got hit by an ice cream truck. It was a massacre. But like, it'd be terrible. It's the
It
worst way to
dragged
go.
him for blocks over the course of 45 minutes.
And after he had to listen to that goddamn song 108th time, he just let himself go.
Yep. We walked after him.
We're like, just let go. You're Just take off your pants. You wouldn't be dragged. No. So the point is Stephen Ray now is like, I need to get away. Oh. So Forrest Whitaker gets hit by uh whatever you said because it's not a tank.
APC, armored personnel carrier.
Transport. Yeah. And carrier, not transport.
Yeah.
Um, so the British are coming
It-
and
yeah. They're like, so that answers that. The answer was
yeah,
no,
the answer
and
is
we're going to
uh
drop bombs on you.
you are in yeah, so Miranda Richardson, who we haven't talked about, but we'll get to her. It's not she's part of the
The
gang.
woman on the poster,
She's the which
for some reason.
for reasons
Striking
because
poster, but
it's a gorgeous
yeah.
poster. It is she has a great haircut. That's not the color of her hair in the movie, but it's a black and
Lots of black and white.
white photo. But like, anyways, yeah, it's a great. I guess it's because anything else would have given away the goat. You know what I mean?
I speaking of which, I only knew that Miranda Richardson was in this because of the poster. I didn't know we were getting into another stacked cast with Stephen Ray and Forrest Whitaker and Jim Broadbent's in there as the a young Jim Broadbent. It took me a little bit to recognize him. I'm like, oh shit, that's Jim Broadbent
Yeah.
as the bartender guy.
Love him.
Um,
Cole.
and the actor who plays Dill, I recognized, and I had to look up
From Stargate.
Stargate, the raw
Raw.
young prince
The
thing,
alien. Yeah.
the alien prince. Yeah, I
The
was
alien
like,
prince.
I've seen that actor somewhere before.
Yes.
Uh,
So
Also, before we move on, I just want to say that I could have watched an entire movie of Forrest Whitaker and Stephen Ray just sitting in that shed
chatting.
chatting at each other.
Which is what also makes this movie so like it has no business being as good as it is because
Yeah,
it's just people having awkward, very human moments. And
good way to put it. Yes,
that's it. And so after the British
the
blow up
British are
bombs,
coming.
yep,
Yep.
the British are coming, and Miranda Richardson and one other dude
And
get
there's got to be a
away.
porno with that name, right?
Has to be.
I would be
Absolutely has
very
to be.
disappointed if there's not.
I'm on my work computer, so not gonna search, but just putting that out there. Um, so Stephen Ray is like, I need to get away, send me to the Spitalfields, because that's where Jody told me to go to meet this person that he wants me to tell that he loved and he
That he was
hopes is
thinking
doing
of
well
her, right?
and thinking of her when she died. Uh, so he goes
Which
and
would be an
he,
awkward conversation. Yeah, I
yes,
took your boyfriend hostage for 3 days, and I was going to shoot him, but he ended up getting run over by a truck. So,
yeah,
but he was thinking of you.
the whole time, baby. So you
Okay, bye.
wanna, yeah, right. So he meets her and they have
Do
what
you remember
might
the name of the
be
bar?
the Metro.
Metro. That's right.
So she's a hairstylist and she cuts his hair and then he
Does
follows
he
her
go
to
to
the
the salon first and then
yes,
follows her to the bar?
yes.
Okay, yeah.
And that's when it has the cutest flirtation on
Oh
like
my God, it's funny. Yes.
it's so good. She's at the other end of the bar and Cole for young Jim Broadbent is the bartender and then Stephen Ray who is now going by Jimmy because he's
Instead of Fergus, and he's
instead of Fergus
changed
and
his
he's
accent
pretending to be
too. Yeah.
Scottish. Yeah. Um, but anyways, so
Which you
he
probably
goes.
didn't have to do because,
No one
well,
can
maybe
tell them apart.
no one could tell though, or maybe that's just Americans. Maybe Londoners are a
Okay,
little bit better at that, but Americans would be like
fair.
Australian.
Yeah, we are uneducated folk over here.
We
So,
hear Irish and we're like, "Good day, mate."
oh my God. Um,
Americans are fun.
we're terrible. No, oh my God, someone told me the other day that I had a Southern accent, and I was like, uh,
Southern California.
yeah, I was like, I'm sorry. What do you mean by that? And they're like, well, this is a very Missouri accent. I'm like, in fact, it's not. I don't put R's where they are not warranted. So get out of here. Anyways, um, So they have the cutest flirtation, which is through the bartender, basically. Dill is like, did that guy ask that guy if he did this? And then
It's
he's
like
like, the lady wants me to ask you this. And he's like, well, you can tell the lady this. And she's like, ask him to buy me a drink. And she's super cute. She
it starts with the he just gave me a look.
Yeah,
He
didn't you
says
see?
you just gave her a look. No, he denies it. No, he told there it was again.
Yeah, I saw that one. I saw that one. This is really funny. They're so cute. I was
Mm,
like, I was really rooting for them.
yeah.
Uh,
And then you remember he's a
oh yeah,
terrorist,
he's a
isn't
10.
he?
But that's the thing is like
Because when Miranda Richardson and other guy come back in the last half an hour of the movie in Act
you've
Three, you're like,
forgotten.
oh yeah,
Oh
he's a terrorist.
shit. Yeah. Yeah. So it follows kind of a courtship. He hasn't told Dill that her honey Jody is was part of he knew him.
Hmm.
So he even goes to her house and he sees all of Jody's things and pictures and he asks a lot of questions. But like through all this, he's getting to know Dill. He's getting to know a little bit more about this Jody character who died because I think he really did have an affinity, for him.
Yeah.
And so they're getting closer and it's that courtship. And then I'll fast forward just for a moment. Um, because in that third act when the IRA comes back, it is quite jarring. She has her hair cut like the
Her
poster,
poster hair, yeah.
you know, and she's like they want him to kill someone and
That's a judge or something.
some judge are like, you need to, this is you. And it's funny because at the very beginning of the movie, Forrest Whitaker and Stephen Ray have a conversation about in the other armies, you do your service and then you are done.
Hmm.
Whereas the IRA is for life. And he's like, this is what that's the difference between you and me. And it was so that's why. So when she comes back, she's like, you don't get out. You now need to do this. You went into hiding and blah, 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 blah. So you got to do this. And then she threatens because she gets close to Dill. She has Dill cut her hair. She meets them in um the
Happens to be
metro.
wherever they are.
Yeah, she's wherever they are. She tries to run them down with the car, but that's oh,
Whoop, you just froze. Oh no.
what are
Oop,
you
you're
knowing?
back. Yeah, you froze for a moment.
Oh,
But
your
you're back.
internet connection is unstable, it says on my end. This is not okay. Um, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And I called the internet company the other day and
Oh,
they were like, no, everything's fine. Um,
well, now.
so, so she's threatening Dill. She tells Stephen Ray, she's like, you don't do this. Look how close I can get to this woman who you are very attracted to. Or like she just assumes is the girlfriend, right?
Mhm.
So therein lies the twist. And I wonder. So Dill, it turns out, and at this point, this movie is from 93. So if you don't actually know the twist in the crying game, you just don't watch movies. So why are you listening? Dill is transgender. She is a transgender woman. And apparently Stephen Ray didn't know that. And so when you find out, here's my thing. I only wish I didn't know.
Oh,
Even when I saw it way back when, I knew going in what was going to happen. It was told to me like
mhm.
it was one of those movies that was ruined very quickly,
Well, this
unfortunately.
was an awards
Oh,
gather.
it was.
Did
Yes,
it
which is
win
a
picture or was it nominated or?
so oh yes, lots nominated, yes. Jay Davidson was nominated, Stephen Ray was nominated. I
Hmm.
am not sure of its winning things. I can look it up here in a moment. This was the
But I read this was the talk of the town back in 90.
It was, and it was Jay Davidson's debut as an actor.
Yeah,
And
I looked up his IMDb. I think he's only done like three movies.
he didn't like it.
He's like,
He's
this
a he
sucks.
Yeah, so he was a
Got my
model.
Oscar. Wait, did he
He
get an
didn't
Oscar?
win. He
Oh,
didn't win.
got my nom.
Well,
That's
and
good. I'm
here's
done.
another interesting thing is that he was nominated for so I did look because I was very concerned about this this conversation
Hmm.
because Jay Davidson identifies as a gay male. However, the character who he played is a transgender woman. So using pronouns, I was like, oh, I want to make sure I use the correct ones for
Yeah.
whatever's
Feminine
happening.
pronouns for the character,
Character,
Dill, male
and then
pronouns
yes,
for the actor.
for the actor. But he was a and is, I don't know, like I don't know what he's up to now. Um, he was a model and he just was, androgyny was in. Look at like Annie Lennox and
Of
Bowie, and I
course.
mean, yeah, boy, like androgyny is still in. Let's be real. People don't want to admit it, but yeah. It's
Well, particularly
Ruby Rose.
coming
Ruby
out of
Rose is
Disney.
quite androgynous and she's gorgeous. Until it was pointed out that she looks like Justin Bieber, and then I kind of threw up in my mouth a little, and I was like, "Oh, that sucks." Um, yeah, he didn't like the fame. He didn't like anything, but he was nominated for this role. And interestingly enough, and I wish I would have written it down, he was nominated one of like those, I think it was a British award or something for Best Actress,
BAFTA?
maybe for Best Actress.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. He was up for a lot of supporting roles, up for actor, but one of them was actress, which is interesting because what was that woman's name who was in the, oh God, that's gonna kill me. She's short. She played a photographer in this movie. It was like out of Africa.
Wait, this oh, different movie.
No, different movie. The woman who played a male, and there was a big hoopla over should she be nominated for Best Actress or Best Actor because it was a female playing a male role. This
Uh,
is way back when.
hmm.
I'm gonna figure out her name because it's gonna kill me. But anyways, I'll get to that in a moment because you'll know the minute I say it, you'll be like,
Oh,
that
I
woman.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna remember it. But I wish I wouldn't have known because I would have wanted to know what that felt like to be completely, but to Dill's point, in in the movie, Dill says to Stephen Ray, who unfortunately starts vomiting.
He has a bad reaction
He
to
has an unfortunate reaction to this development. Um, yes. And Dill says,
not
I
as bad
thought,
as it could be,
true.
but yeah.
Yes. And Dill said, I thought you knew. Why would you come to that
Why were you
bar?
in that bar?
Why were you in that bar? Yeah. So,
How did you
eh,
not know?
yeah.
Speaking of the bar, my favorite patron is a lady who looks exactly like Alan Cummings with lipstick on.
Oh, okay.
I was like, that looks like Alan Cummings
That
with
looks like
lipstick.
Alan Cummings with lipstick. Something I'm sure he likes to wear.
Yeah,
He's
now
very
I
fabulous.
think uh so while Dill has put a robe back on and is sitting on the couch while he's
Retching.
dry heaving in the bathroom behind her, um I forget exactly what she says, but the most heartbreaking thing about that scene, for me anyway,
Oh,
is she
when
says something like, she's telling him it's like, okay, he
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 acts,
he flies out of there. He like immediately like, oh shit, and runs and knocks her out of the way and ends up bumping her in the face and getting her a little bit of a
yeah,
bloody
this
nose.
was so
But she
sad.
says something like, it's okay, just don't hurt my face.
Yeah, she says, it's okay, Jimmy. I can take a hit, just not in the face or something kind
It's
of like
something
that.
like that. And that was heartbreaking. That
Yes.
because that speaks that's some great writing right there because that speaks with that short line, you're like, I've got her entire history now.
Yeah, it's
I know
crazy.
I've got a good idea of the shit she's been through.
Yeah, yeah. And I would like to believe that I would have not been as surprised as Stephen Ray's character. Um, there's an Adam's apple involved in all of the shots, but you see what you want to see, and I think that that's the whole point is that you see what you want to see, and he truly, and that also, you love who you love. There's no like, it is what it is. They do stay, and there is a moment. There's a few moments. Um, when he
But
tries
it
to
does. There's a couple moments within it, yes.
yes, there's a few moments. There's some moments that he tries to protect Dill, but the thing that he does, which has always irked me, and maybe it's because I've never been in this sort of life or death situation, maybe I'd act differently, but he cuts Dill's hair and dresses him like a man to try to hide him because Miranda Richardson, her character, they don't know like that Dill is genetically male. So they are looking for Dill, the female, and
The
he
way she
cuts
typically presents, right.
how she typically presents. So when Stephen Ray cuts her hair, when Stephen Ray cuts her hair and dresses her like a boy and she wears that, he's trying to protect her.
Hmm.
So, but he doesn't tell her why he's doing this. He doesn't explain shit. He literally cuts her hair, puts her in clothes, and then they take a nap. For, by the
Right.
way, she's
Well,
wearing that outfit
to
for
be
a
fair,
long
he
time.
hasn't told her what he's
Anything.
protecting her from or what the danger is, and he
No.
doesn't want to because that would reveal who he actually is.
Yeah. But at a
So,
certain point, if you're going to ask me if
yeah,
like there's sometimes that I'm like, there's a threshold that I just need you to explain some give me enough
yeah.
so that I can
But I think that's the thing with
understand.
Dill is that in her life, she's learned to put up with an enormous amount of
That's
unpleasantness
true.
just for the ability to get at those smaller moments of genuine happiness. I
Yes.
think that might be her perspective here. It's like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, and I don't know
Yeah.
why, and that bothers me, but
If you tell me that everything's going to be all right, you tell me you're
okay.
not leaving me, I'll cut my hair and present as
Yes.
male if you want me to present that way for right now.
Right.
Um,
Um, I also kind of a few small details I really like that aren't important, but one, uh, Stephen Ray sucks at cutting hair. I mean, her hair looks awful. It's just really
yeah.
bad. I just like the
Yeah.
fact that he doesn't do a great job at that.
Yeah, and I guess it helps because it's like that's why we have stylists.
I thought she was going to be like, "You want me to do it? Because I probably do better myself than you." And along those lines, I like the fact that all of the various performers at the bar, where we get to hear the titular crying game song sung by Dill, or well, sung by someone else, Robin something. Um, Oop, did you freeze again?
Not by Jay
Oop,
Davidson, I don't
there you
froze.
go.
I didn't freeze. You froze.
Oh, well, I guess we froze from each other's perspectives. Yeah, she's dubbed.
Yes.
But that's okay. What I like about it is all the you have different performers throughout the movie. They cut to different people singing different songs, and everyone who performs is bar adequate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's really genuinely great. It's like, oh shoot, this person should record. No, everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Very solidly listenable, even if you're completely sober, but no one's like super good.
Yeah. It's not one of the, it's just,
Yeah,
yep.
it's just people performing in a bar, and they're perfectly fine. Little touches like that I like.
Yeah. I like that too.
I
Um,
also was happy to see that like Dog Day Afternoon, uh, it's like, oh, we have a trans character in a movie from the 70s.
well, moving
That's
from the 90s, but yeah.
yeah,
But
well,
yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon,
Oh, that's
for
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Sarandon's character, but it was a lot of the language was out of date, we'll say, but the intention behind the presentation of the character in that story was lacking in malice and I think was
Yeah.
genuine. Uh, Even if that film was made today, they would have done it slightly different. Same thing here. I went into it going like, all right, movie, let's see what you're gonna do, and for the most part, perfectly fine. Even a movie that's 30 years old. What I particularly like about Stephen Ray's character is I struggle to think of another character who acts the way he does. Most characters, if they're dating or if they're romantically interested in a queer person,
Hmm.
they try not to be a bigot. You know, even
Sure.
if that's who they are, they try to tamp down on that stuff. Stephen Wright's character is the only one I can think of who actively tries to be a bigot, like as a defense mechanism. But what I found particularly fascinating is because it's his nature. He genuinely cannot help consistently using the correct pronouns. He always, without
Yeah.
thinking about it, uses the proper feminine pronouns,
Right.
even when he's trying to be a bit of a bigoted dick
Right.
and push her away.
Right.
And I found that really fascinating.
It is very interesting because, he does hang on to it because there's a whole scene where he asks her, like, did this person know? Does this person know? Does this person know? And she's like, dude, seriously.
You're the only one who didn't.
Like, you're kind of a jackass for not knowing, but okay. Um, and then he does many times, like when someone calls her a lady and he goes, oh, she's no
She's not a
lady.
lady.
And he tells her to her face, I liked you more when you were a girl. And she's like, I am a girl. And I'm
Yeah,
just,
but he
and
always consistently uses the feminine pronoun
yeah. Well,
because
and
he
he
does it
also,
without thinking about it. It's just natural for him.
and that's the thing that it gets fuzzy at the end because I really feel like, I mean, the show is 2 hours or just under. And I I feel it could have used another like 10 minutes at the end. Like bring it to the actual 2 hour threshold. And the only reason I say that is, well, it things happen very quickly and there's not there's question about whether or not Stephen Ray's character can get over it. And I guess maybe it doesn't matter if we know or not. So here's the over. This is what I'm talking about. So let's go to the end. So it turns out that Miranda Richardson Mr. Stephen Ray misses for reasons
The
the
assassination.
assassination. And so Peter, the other guy that did escape from the British coming earlier, he does it himself and he dies. It is a suicide mission. Like even Stephen Ray was saying, he's like, this is literally a suicide mission. And they're like, what's the perfect job for you then? Um, so Miranda basically goes on a tear of like, I'm gonna go kill these, his girl and him because the dude. And Dale kills her. Yeah, that's what happens. And Stephen Ray
Takes the fall. Nope, you froze again.
takes the fall, keeps going there to see him and say hi and say thank you. And that's kind of you leave. Dill is counting the days, 3,000, whatever 6 years is or something. It was like five
Yeah,
and a half years or
I think
something.
she said like you got 2,300 days left or something like that. Oh,
Something like that.
2,301. I forgot leap year or something.
Yeah, there was a joke there or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I always forget the leap year." But the thing that is once he finds out that she's trans, he pulls away from her a lot. He does kiss her a lot, but he also kisses her because he's trying to ease her to get her to do something like that he wants. Like he undresses her and then immediately dresses her in the cricket uniform. And so
Forrest
it's
Whitaker's.
for
She has her
yes.
Forrest Whitaker's old clothes and
Yeah.
photos and stuff in her apartment still.
So anytime he shows affection is when he needs something. But he took the fall for her and he went to jail for her and she's still coming to see him, but he keeps it. She's like, hi. And oh, this is something that I think that Dill is such a beautifully fleshed out character. And I am his performance, Jay Davidson's performance is exceptional. Like I believe every single moment because it's just everything is very natural. I love when she says, darling. And he goes, don't call me that. She's like, I'm sorry, honey. And he goes, stop that. She's like, oh, my love, I'm so sorry. Like
Yeah,
she'll just,
they are adorable.
they are adorable. And you are rooting for this couple somehow.
Yep,
Even though
he's a
he's
terrorist.
still, even though he's a terrorist, and even though he still is a bigot and he's working through some shit. But you know what? I think that prison might help that.
Yeah, I you know
I think
he's got 2,300 days
he's got some time to go,
to reflect on things.
I she's pretty dang hot. So like, I mean, the truer words were never spoken. She really is the kind of girl that any guy would want. Like
Mhm.
she like a beautiful, beautiful human being. Um, so yeah, it's a baffling movie
Went on to
because
play a god.
yeah, and then yes, uh first I shall play a woman that every man fantasizes about, and then I will play a god that everyone fears. And then I'll retire. That's what else is there?
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
where to go from
I've
here?
exactly, exactly. But it's so interesting because he doesn't quite lose his bigotry, but she doesn't give up on him, which is just as possibly sad.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really hoping that she has a life outside of the prison
Yeah. Yes.
and isn't just sitting there for 6 to 8 years or however long it is.
Pining for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and that's the thing too, is like she hangs on to him because he treats her so nicely. And yet as the audience, we're like, is he? But yet as the audience, you're also like, I love them so much. But no, the thing about the movie and the reason why I'm like, it shouldn't be this good is it's how, like, tell me how you pitch this movie. So here we go. We're going to have this dude in IRA and he's going to kill this dude and then go after his girlfriend. And that causes some stuff. And then we're going to bring the IRA stuff back. And it's like, there's a lot of, oh, right. Like, there's a lot of reminders in this movie where it started and like where it starts and then where it goes and then where it goes back. Like, it is a roller coaster, but a very gentle sort of roller
Leisurely,
coaster.
meandering coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating, like, who's the dude who, oh, so this is what I was gonna say about Stephen Ray. Um in whatever year it was. So Crying Game was what, 93 or something or other.
2, 3, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Um and it's who directed this? Neil Jordan? Neil Jordan.
It was Neil
It is
Neil
Neil
something
Jordan.
because it's Neil. It's not
Jordan.
because I went. Let me look.
I
Neil.
said it, Neil Jordan.
Yeah, because I read that I went Neil Jordan, and then I realized I was thinking of Neil Marshall. I'm like, oh, wrong guy, wrong Neil. So
So when I need to I'm gonna look this up really quick. Hold on. Let's do this. So 94. Okay. That makes more sense.
what was 94?
So Interview with a Vampire, the
Venture
wonderful,
Pet Detective was 94, and that used the theme from the Crying Game.
did it really? In Ace Ventura,
Yeah,
where?
as in a transphobic joke at the end of the movie,
Oh,
where
I'm
John Young is review.
oh, sure, sure.
They play the Crying Game theme.
Um,
And
so
everyone starts vomiting because trans people are icky.
I remember that with Sean Young, and I was like, yeah. I didn't understand it when I was a kid. I was like,
I didn't get it either.
why are we upset?
No,
And then
I was 13.
even mom was like, Tuck, and I was like, I'm so confused. I was like, what's his name? Oh no, I was about to make a joke. This is why I'm not funny. What is the dude's name in It Puts the Lotion on Its Skin?
Buffalo Bill?
Buffalo. I wanted to say Wild
Oh,
Bill,
the
and I was like,
character, right? Yeah.
yes, 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 the character, not Ted Levine. Levine. I don't know.
I'm actually not sure.
I'm not sure. I've heard it both ways. No. So
What's
Interview with the
funny is the
Vampire,
actor actually talks like that's actually his voice.
his
He actually kind of
voice
talks like that.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great voice. My
So
impression does not do it justice, but he actually, I always assumed it was a voice he put on for the character, but no, it's just pretty much what the guy sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah. Because when he was in Monk, I was like, I love it. Um, so when I was watching the promos for Interview with the Vampire, because this is back in the day when TV existed, of course,
Wait,
and
the movie from
the movie from '94
okay,
with Christian
they're doing a
Slater.
series, so
No,
okay.
no.
Want to make sure we're talking
We're
about
talking about the film with Mr. Brad Pitt and my nemesis Kirsten Dunst. And I don't know why.
she
It's
got to
because she
be there.
kissed Brad Pitt when she was a child, and I am forever jealous of that.
Forever
And I'm like,
jealous.
well, because I was the kid that had curly hair, and I was like,
Right,
why was I? Why I'm her age? Why can't I kiss Brad Pitt?
right.
Anyhow, when Interview with the Vampire was um running its ads, its trailers, they were, it was like starring, and then they would have, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Kristen Slater and Stephen Ray. And Stephen Ray was always part of the promo. He was either the third or the fourth build. And I was always like, who is this guy? And why do I care about who he is? Like, why
Brad
is this
Pitt, Tom
important?
Cruise, Christian Slater. Who gives a shit about Stephen
I'm
Ray?
like, but I'm like, who? So he's a theatrical actor. Like that's like Neil. So Neil Jordan, who worked with him in The Crying Game, saw him in just other theatrical productions and was like, well, this guy's a great actor. Which, yes, and liked working with him, so put him in his movie for the following year. Like that's really all it was. But because it was their second time working together, and because Crying Game was so big, but of course I was younger at that time, so it's like an 11, 12-year-old is not like, Crying Game, but is like, Brad Pitt. Actually, Christian
Yeah,
Slater. Let's be real. Let's be real.
no. It was
Although that
crying.
part originally went to River Phoenix, and then that
The,
ended
which part?
poorly.
The
Christian
Christian
Slater's part.
part? Oh, really?
Yeah. It was originally intended to be River Phoenix. Uh Christian took over because his mother was the casting director and was like, well, my son, you look like the man anyway, so might as well. But yeah, so that was my introduction to Stephen Ray. Was who the hell is this guy in Interview with the Vampire? And yeah, and I remember just being and it was very upsetting to me for some reason that he was so touted in that ad, that trailer. Um, so yes.
Yeah,
So did you? I
I
don't
don't
know
even
why.
remember him
In the movie, he's one of
in the advertising. I guess I don't remember the advertising well enough. Yeah.
that's you weren't a preteen girl, you mean? Is
I mean, I
that
remember the movie. I
is
remember it
that
being advertised, but
again, you need to have, you know,
no.
um that so question, brother.
Back in the early 90s, we didn't have YouTube. So
No.
when commercials would come up, having a trailer with Brad Pitt
Oh
and
yeah.
Christian Slater was a little treat. It's like, ooh,
That was
run in
very
from the
exciting.
kitchen. You know,
I know, right? So we've talked a lot about this movie, Crying Game. A
I want
lot
to talk
about
about one more thing real quick.
I'm not ready to move on either, but I did before you talk about your thing. Well, actually, you talk about your thing, and then I'm just gonna ask you a question. Might as
I
well be
just
a
want to
question.
talk about the Crying Game song, um, because
Fair. Title song month.
yeah, I actually while the Moon Zero Two is definitely more fun. I think Crying Game is a just a better song. It's much more interesting, and it's particularly the Boy George arrangement. The '60s one is because very psychedelic sounding, which you would expect from the '60s. The Boy George one capitalizes that with like more modern synth and stuff and just gives it a really unique sound. And it's got a really interesting and memorable melody that has a bunch of different interesting variations.
Kind of
And
haunting in its own little way.
yeah,
Very.
and what I particularly, and it's, even kind of thematically appropriate because the melody surprises you and does something melodically that you don't expect. So you have, and even if it wasn't tied to a movie, I'd be like, "Ooh, that's neat." Because the opening line, is that da 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 da
At the
da da,
crying
and what
game.
you expect it to do is go to the crying game,
Yes,
Ruth,
that's what you
but it
expect. Yeah.
doesn't do that. He goes, die something, something, something,
Dun, dun,
something,
dun, dun.
the crying game. It
Yeah.
drops down to the five below the root, which is from a minor third, a augmented fifth, which is a weird interval. So your ear is expecting da da da, and it goes da da da, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
It makes
So
use of a lot
cool.
of minors as like it's very
The
interesting.
song's in a minor key, but yeah, um, I just great song. I really like it.
Yeah. What was your I will say one thing about Dill is that she is very in love
Named
with her
after a
hands.
pickle.
Yeah, very only with one L though. Um she's very
Oh, the goddamn
like
hand thing.
for the
I have to
entire
imagine that for me, that's part of the
I'm a woman, I'm a woman.
bar good. She's just
Yeah, it's very fun. It's so she waves her. So for those who aren't watching,
yeah.
she uses her hands the entire time she's singing, but in the way of like think like Pulp Fiction, putting you like the
Mm.
over your eyes and then voguing and then like running your fingers through the air like you're very sexy and showing off a new manicure, and it was the entire length of the song. and
She's
then
got one
halfway
move
through
and
and
she
then
loves
halfway
it.
through she's like, I need to switch hands because this one's tired, let this one do some
I'm getting carpal
work.
tunnel in this hand. Let's
and,
Yep.
and I was like, but fascinating. I didn't take my eyes off her. So in a way, I guess you captivated your audience. You know your audience, they always say. So there you go. Um, did you like this? That's my question, because we've talked a lot about some the good stuff about the movies. I mentioned I liked it. We mentioned things that are weird about it, the fact that it's a terrorist, and but it's an interesting front to back movie.
Oh yes, I like it quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
cool.
I don't think it like ranks up there with like all-time masterpiece or anything like that, but I genuinely solidly enjoyed this movie. Yes.
Yeah. It's I where is Forrest Whitaker from? Is
The actor originally, I have no idea.
I thought he was
He
American. Is he
maybe
not?
he is, maybe I
Is he?
have no idea. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard him do that accent before.
No, but he does. Who he plays the last king of Scotland, that Idi Amin,
Oh,
and
that's true. I haven't seen it though. So
he does a crazy good accent there too. So it's like maybe I just don't know what his real voice sounds like.
yeah,
He's probably a Texan.
he's got a drawl,
Did you just freeze again?
just like you did. So I
And
guess
the
from your perspective, I'm freezing.
You are, and the face that you were giving me, shade.
Well, I mean, since I'm recording from my end, I don't, pause on weird
So you always keep
facial
that very
expression
dramatic.
transition. Yes,
You're like,
exactly.
just in case it's going to be perfect. Whereas I'm like, let's see how many wrinkles I can add with this facial expression. I am a weathered soul. Um, no, not
You live
soul.
in a place with actual weather, so
Dude. I want to be clear. Our next door neighbor this afternoon was mowing their lawn in the sun because that's normally when you mow it. So she's mowing her lawn. She gets halfway through mowing her lawn and the skies open. I mean, open. And you hear the lawnmower just go, and she's like, and I mean, yeah, you got to get that baby in there. But so just half of her yard, and then it lasted for maybe 15 minutes, and then it's done. But there's nothing you can do because now
now the
it's
grass
like
is wet.
now it's like my bangs when I was 6 that
Mm,
dad cut,
yeah.
and they were just completely lopsided. Um, but yeah, we have, oh, and it is the summer of the locusts.
Oh,
Not locust, I'm lying to you. cicadas.
Cicadas. Okay.
Yes. And truly have to check yourself before you go inside because they are falling off the trees as you walk under them. By the way, we record these ahead of time. It's not September. It's the summer of the cicadas, and it is disgusting. And like at night, you can go out and like watch them come out from the ground, being like, "I'm so excited up here," and then the next day, there's so many dead ones, and you're kind of like, "Are you? You're still excited?
Worth it?
Was it worth it? You were drinking that sweet, sweet root sap for 13 years, and you're like, freedom." Because I mean, just as many shells of people who have people, cicadas are not people, as the cicadas who have shed their skin, there's also the ones that are just dead. But that has absolutely nothing to do with the crying game, which is a much better thing to talk about.
The
But we
crying
had
game. Nothing to do with cicadas.
nothing to do with cicadas. I cry because there are cicadas. I revel, that's the wrong word. I marvel, thank you, at the crying game because it's just it's another one of those movies for me that when you watch, you're fixated in watching because it's because you truly believe everything that's happened. Like I don't know, it's a very interesting Shawshank Redemption has this that hold like the conversations, they're real, they mean something, and it holds you. And when you watch it, you don't Amadeus did it for me. But like so
It's
it's
got
just
a
some of these movies, man.
it's got an uncomfortable reality to it. I'd say stuff like Shawshank and Amadeus are a
Heightened.
a heightened fictional reality, which
Sure.
makes everyone a lot cooler than they would be in real life. Um,
Oh yeah,
the
this is very flawed people.
Crying Game is raw and dirty and flawed and uncomfortable,
True.
but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, cool. Oh, I'm so excited. So this
Yeah,
was another good
I'm
month.
glad you mandated this one because it's probably not a movie I would have ever thought to finally
No,
watch, you know?
probably. It's probably one of those that you're like, I never saw that. And now I probably never will. But that's why we have a podcast.
That's right.
And so yeah, so now we can stop talking about title song movies because August, because I wrote the wrong month down,
August, yep.
August has ended our title song month, but movie mandates continues because we like watching movies. So September is approaching and we are going to watch The Art of the Seal. Nope. I
Although we
can't
could,
spell.
movies about
All
seals.
the aquatic, all the aquatic animals.
Free
It's
Willy.
I'm gonna try this again.
Okay,
Brother will just edit that out. This was the dress
sure.
rehearsal.
I'll totally remember to do
I'll
this.
totally remember that. The Art of the Steel, which is
It's
not the
very
same
metal.
thing. Yeah. So this is Spinal Tap. So all right, brother. Art of the Steel. I'm so excited because I love
Oh, damn you, internets.
me during this moment. It had to freeze.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
All right, Art of the Steal. So, heist movies. Know them, love them, lots of them. Hard to
So
pick
many.
one,
I know.
but I did pick one.
Thank gosh, because I only got time for that.
And I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly, so I'm going to do my best. Uh, Top Cappy, Taupe Copy,
Sure.
not really sure. What's the spelling here? Let me
Yeah, because I'm gonna need to write that down. Is it like Topeka?
yeah,
Only not.
Topkapi.
And it's one word.
One word. Yeah, it's the name I think of a museum in Turkey. So
Ooh.
there's jewels or something on display, and people are like, "I ought to get me some of those." And so they,
I like shiny things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So And in case there's a remake, it's the one from 1964 because Lord knows half of the damn movies that was on my short list of heist movies have been remade,
Of
have a
course.
remake from like the last 15, 20 years.
Of course they do.
Interesting thing about Tokapi, one of the reasons I picked it is the director is Jules Dassin, who did oh God, is it Naked City? I think in the 40s. I think it's the Naked City, which is it's like Dragnet before Dragnet. It's a
Oh,
procedural film that follows some lady gets murdered in New York, and there's two cops just beating leather and investigating the case. It's just a really good movie. It's
interesting.
fascinating.
All right.
Another film he did in the next decade, sometime in the 50s, is a heist movie called Rififi, which is an okay film. It's solid film. I've actually told you about this one.
I'm like, I feel very like I know this one.
Yeah. This movie, one of the most notable things about this movie is the heist in the movie. It's 30, 40 minutes, but it's done almost entirely dialogue free because the characters in the movie are, in a bank, trying to be very quiet and drill into a safe and not like drop things on the floor. And so it's like 30, 40 minutes of them being quiet and sweating, and it's really tense.
That's
It's really
fascinating.
effective. It's a pretty good heist movie. And so Topkapi is a 60s heist film, which means it's probably a screwball comedy and a lot sillier.
That's
Um, so I've also heard that Topkapi was one of the inspirations for the Mission Impossible television show.
ooh, very exciting. When did that show?
That started airing in the late 60s, and Topkapi's, what did I say, 64?
64.
Yeah,
I
so
wrote it
Mission
down.
Impossible is a few years later.
All right.
And as far
Excellent.
as the cast,
Yeah.
most notably is Peter Ustinov, who he played Hercule Poirot in the movies in the 70s.
Yeah, the non-Kenneth Branagh
Yeah,
versions.
yeah, the Death on the Nile and what was the other one he did? But yeah, he played what most people might remember him as is the Hercule Poirot in the Agatha Christie adaptations from the 70s.
Nice.
So yeah, top copy.
Cool. Well, I'm very excited. So if you too would like to watch Tokapi, uh, check out the description and see where it is currently streaming or available to rent. I said it right for the first time. That's so exciting. It only took us 2 years.
Yay.
Yay, me. I can read.
Get through the rest
Until
of it without mistakes.
no. You are incorrect, my brother.
No,
Until
just
then,
just stop. Just close the podcast here. It's fine.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
Until then, you can watch Movie Mandates on YouTube or listen to it in podcast form on iTunes. And if you enjoy the show, which if you're still listening to me talk, I know you do, help us reach a wider audience. Engagement is key. So if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe and comment. And if you're listening on iTunes, rate and review. Thank you so much. So with that, we are signing off. I am Kelly, and you can follow me on Instagram at PimentoLivia10.
And I'm Andrew. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen.
And we hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Movie Mandates, and we will be back soon with another mandated movie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.